Hi, Nick Collier here, and this is my shop. Come join me. We'll have some fun.
Well, Nick Collier here, and today we are going to take our cute little rotary table here and mount it vertically like this. Now, this is a 9-inch shaper, and which means that we have 9 inches to play with. So I don't really want to mount it just straight out on top of the table, because we all of a sudden lose almost 4 inches. So what I want to do is I want to bring it out to about this level here, right out to the edge of our 9-inch table, so that the full travel on this. Of course, in order to do that, I'm going to have to build a bracket, some sort of L bracket, to come in here and to get this the way I want it. And so the job today is building this plate bracket that we can put the rotary table on. And stick with me, we're going to have a good time. Alright, well, we're working with 5/8 material here, and so we want to do a couple of test runs to make sure that we're gonna cut right before we actually bust into this. So well, it looks like we need more water in the tray, so first thing we're going to do is do that. Now, next thing we want to do is see how clean of a cut we got. I'd say that's pretty damn clean. Not too bad. A little bit of dross, but not much. Okay, so now let's set it up. And we want to come over. Someplace like right in there. All right, let's get started here. So we're going to bring it back to 1. We're going to pre Well, I'd say that looks pretty good. Now, one thing I see is that when I'm using the pattern torch, I'm going to have to back this thing up because it got pretty hot. But that's not too bad. And it looks like we're going to have to come in with a bit of tapping just to kind of break it loose. Okay, here we're cutting chamfers for weld relief, and this is going to happen on 3 or 4 parts, and it'll give us room to get a weld in there really deep and good and solid. So this is the mating surface. Now notice that's a 30-degree cutting tool. I didn't have a 45, but I think we're going to be just fine. When those two mate up, that we'll have a 60-degree cut to weld in. And so at this point, I'm about halfway welded. I forgot to turn the camera on, but we're getting some decent welds out of this. So as much as you try on a piece of material like that to keep everything square, this thing warped by about 80 thousandths, and that's just a little bit too much for my needs. So what I'm doing is I'm heating it up, and I'm going to put it on the shop press and see if I can just kind of push down on it just a little bit and give it a little bit of a spread. But it didn't quite work. So we've fiddled around with it, and I think we eventually got it set up so that it was within about 20 thousandths. So what I'm doing right here is I'm evening out the 20 thousandths so that the bottom plate and the top plate are off each by about 10. You can see that little shim I just slid in there, and that's given the bottom plate just a little more height up in that corner, and which brings the top plate kind of more evenly.
And as you can see, I got everything within about 15 thousandths of each other, and I think that's plenty good. Drop it down right here and take a measurement, and we're sitting at about 15. So we're going to cut from there, and we'll end up with just a little bit of it'll be a little bit thinner on the tops of each of those pieces. So let's cut away. And right here is about where that 15 thousandths starts to show itself. So we and the inserts were a little worn. So I want to kind of get a nice clean surface. So we changed out the inserts and dropped it down about another 10 or so. And I think this time it's going to work out. And you can probably foresee here that I'm going to run into that hole down if I'm not careful. So I got a plan, and here it comes. Well, I implemented the plan on the other side, but now you're going to see the real complicated process of moving those clamps around until they actually get out of the way enough that I can get a good grip. And here's where it gets really close, and moving the clamps around and back and forth and in and out, and until I finish the entire cut or the entire series of cuts. Okay, one last little pass here, and we've got this baby squared up. There we go, almost. Sanding down all the burrs and the sharp edges and the rough edges, and just kind of making it so it's handleable. And coming up, if you look real close, right about here when I flip this over, you'll see that one little edge that kind of sticks up right where I'm filing. That's going to sit on top of the table of the shaper, and that'll keep our square edge going. So I put my stamp into it, and of course I put it in upside down. So we're going to do this a second time, and there's the correct size. And now we're going to put the date in, and we'll come in and grind out that other part later on.
I tried, but to not speak while I'm working my stuff here is a bit isolating. And one of the reasons why I am doing YouTube is because I'm kind of sitting here by myself, and when I video it, it's like I'm bringing all you guys in with me, and girls, of course, if some are watching. My wife doesn't watch, so I assume that not many women are that interested in these noise-making machines, as she says. So anyhow, I'm going to talk while I'm doing it. So that little experiment is over. I want to show off my newest acquisition. This Clausing 12-inch I picked up here, I don't know, last week or so. And it's taken me all week to kind of get it in place and get it set up and get it so that it functions. But it's running pretty well right now. We've still got some messing around with some gears to do. It's singing a little bit more than I want it to. But there you are without the gears running. But I'm pretty happy with that, and picked it up for pretty much a song. You'll see it being used more and more as we transfer from the old south bend to this lathe, and then eventually probably sell the south bend. So we're set. Okay, well, we've got a piece of 3/4 rod here. And the reason why I'm going with that is because I want to build a shoulder on this rod and then build a hex so that I can screw the rod into the table of the shaper and tighten it up, and then have a threaded end out here so that I can screw or mount the rotary table plate. So for the moment, we're going to, using our original screw or bolt as a guide, we're going to come in here and start off right about there. Get my new safety glasses with wings on them. As close as I can come to safety glasses, which is, not a bad deal. These little clip-ons, they work really well. Okay, so we're off and running. I think we'll just kick it into gear and see how she plays. Awfully noisy. I don't like that noise. I'm going to get a little oil. I see a couple of little oil journals in here. I didn't put any oil in. Well, I think what we're seeing here is the bearings are not in that great a shape. Now, it could be that they just need adjusting, or it could be they need to be replaced. Either way, it's fine. I mean, it's still cutting just fine. It's just that it does that little rattle at the end there when it bottoms out, and I don't like that. So, one thing after another. and we're at 69. We wanted to go to 68, and this is threaded, so no biggie. We do definitely want to change our angle of the compound. Okay, so we've got, let's get a little juice. Lock our spindle in place and start working our way up that shaft. Making sure that the die stays nice and square. Well, you know, I cut this, I threaded it, I did a really nice job, I swung it around here, I got ready to take it and measure it, and I cut it a 1/2 inch too short. And we didn't have any more 3/4, so I found some all thread, and you know, basically this is all going to be inside, so you know, the all thread is fine. So, and then I cut this down. Now we're going to thread it again. Well, the all thread will be threading for the first time, but we'll be working on our second set as usual when I'm not paying attention. Okay, so we've got a wrench. We want a little juice. And we're going to all right, we got the one side. You know, I want to chamfer that a little bit better. Let's go ahead and come in and do that. All right, good start. Take it out, turn it around. Oh yeah, we want to measure this. We'll be back. All right, well, since we've already done one and it works fine, we're going to just use it as our guide.
cut it off right there, and then make our shoulder right there. All right, we're going to go over to the saw and cut it off. And you're wondering why the camera is in the exact same position every time, and that is because this is a new position for this new lathe, and I don't have any camera brackets hooked up yet to film from different angles. So, well, you know, just live with it. Okay, let's trim this down to 3/8. That should do it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's get our die. All right, let's put some threads on this side and we'll be ready to go. Well, no, we've got to put a hex in it too, but that comes in a while. All right, we're gonna take and cut ourselves a hex on this. I guess we better tighten it up, hadn't we? Let's see what we can do. Okay, there's our hex. And let's see if the wrench is going to fit. Oh, it's not going to fit. Okay. Back to the drawing board. We'll take it down another 10. All right, we're there. We got a hex. We're all set to go. Okay, so we take our
rod and run it. Oops, that's not going to fit, but we can get this one and run it into the to where the bolt was. Tighten her up. This one goes into the other hole, but we got to take the bolt out first. Snug her down good and tight. Gosh, I hope there's enough room there. Bring this over. Get it in somewhat position. It do weigh a ton now. Drop it down. Okay, I'd say we're nice and tight. Now you notice this weld job back here, not the best in the world, but I had to do some extra beads on here because this plate was leaning forward and I needed to bring it back, and you throw a bead behind it and it'll pull the metal back, and it did. It got me back from about 80 thousandths out till about 20 thousandths. And I think there it is. I got about, oh, I don't know, 8 inches of space in there, and I can divide in whatever measurements I need, or whatever degrees I need. And I think this is going to pretty much answer the question. Okay, one more job done, and we're ready to move on and do some other stuff, and we're waiting for our first spline job or our first inside keyway. So this is Nick Collier checking out.